Welcome, this is your life now, a wasteland where we all take a bow.
Hi, my name's Mallory, and I've had multiple sclerosis for 20 years and have been utilizing a power wheelchair for 12 years. We share what our family's experience is like dealing with a chronic illness, and today I have my husband with me.
Hello there.
First, I did want to talk about, because it's been on my mind, we titled this podcast She's a Hazard to herself, and then went through this season of no injuries. But here's what I've been thinking about though. There were no injuries because, one, I started wearing Crocs almost everywhere. They're not beautiful, but they're almost like having rubber
Like bumpers.
Yeah. So that, and then the winter months, we really, I still am, I'm relying on you a tremendous amount
Right.
to help me transferring. And so, yeah, things are obviously much safer because you're doing it all.
Right.
And I have bumpers on my feet. But anyways, we'll see. No injuries. Yay for us.
Yay.
But so today we wanted to talk about not necessarily things I do to stay active, but more so things we've incorporated along my journey that keep me comfortable and somewhat mobile. But I've got some great people in my life, and I don't know, I'm just very good at reading people and finding the genuine type of personalities. And I've been very lucky to find a personal trainer who really understands and gets my limitations, but I also have been extremely lucky to find a gentleman that helps me do assisted stretching. And the same, every single person that I work with, I have a deep trust in them and their profession, but I also, they operate kind of in the same fashion with me as well. When they come or when I'm meeting with them, there's always, how are you feeling today? Did you eat? Did you sleep? Most importantly, are you hydrating?
Right.
So, but anyways, and then I also have a chiropractor that I see as well. I haven't had as lengthy of a relationship with her, but she does very much the same with me, but also with you, Brad, just kind of asking what's been going on.
Right. Yeah.
And so anyways, we've been very blessed to be able to surround ourselves with some very talented individuals that help me stay comfortable. But if you don't know, I did mention that I am in a wheelchair. I've been in a wheelchair for 12 years, almost 13 now. And sitting in a wheelchair is not comfortable. I think a lot of people want to make funny comments wish I had one of those. And I do get that random junk in public. And the things that go along with that is it's not comfortable. Your body's not made to sit in one position all the time. And then when in my situation with multiple sclerosis and strength concerns, fatigue concerns, I do, my body starts giving out midday and I start slouching, and I'm joked about needing a 5-point harness just to keep me comfortable and hold me back and things like that. So, but that's all, communicating with the rehab or a wheelchair company, that's a separate episode, obviously. But so in tandem to making sure my wheelchair is fit for me, I find it's also important to work with these individuals that have helped me tremendously to stay somewhat mobile and active and comfortable. But so we've already shared a few videos behind the background videos of some of my gym time, and really if you were a power lifter or something, you'd probably be looking at those wondering what the heck I'm even accomplishing. But I've been working with my personal trainer for I would say probably around 4 years now, and like I said, it's always a conversation when I get there of, have you eaten today? When's the last time you ate? How'd you rest? Have you drank anything? But also, how has that been over the last 24 hours? I mean, there's been times I'd show up to the gym actually repetitively, like weeks. I'd still get dressed, I'd still go to the gym, and I'd show up and he'd be like, yeah, you're not exercising today. Go home and make a smoothie. Like, that's the best I can offer right now.
Right.
Just simply because for whatever reason, more than likely the weather, I just was in the slumps and didn't feel good and didn't eat appropriately. But I still give myself credit and a tally that I went to the gym because it was a lot of effort to get there anyways. But anyways, I mean, all I do is upper body. I do not have I just don't have the nerve signal to exercise my lower body as much. Like, I'll think it, but the legs won't respond. They won't participate in any way, form, or fashion. But so we spend a lot of time on upper body. But for me, I can feel it in my butt, my hamstrings. I can feel all those motions because I have to think very deeply on what I'm doing and the action that I'm following through with. And I find that happens quite a bit as well at the gym, where I'm like, okay, my personal trainer's name is Mark, and I'm like, okay, Mark, what muscle is supposed to be doing that? Like, I have to think about it and to activate it. And sometimes I may never accomplish that in the hour that I'm at the gym. And sometimes we will start with 10 pounds. Heck, I shouldn't even give myself that much credit. Sometimes we will start with no weight and it's just the motion. Just kind of like, I have to get the motion down, and then we'll add some weight, and then I can subtly gain upon it. And so it just really depends on how my body responds. And it's become such a habit that my personal trainer does my exercise that way that we don't even really discuss. Like, he just makes the adjustment to the weight. And sometimes it's just changing out the attachments to something that I can get a better grip on for that day, because, it's a mess. Every day is different. Some days I can't feel my hands. Some days I can't feel a finger. Some days I have some ironically different sensations that I can't even identify. So anyways, he's very creative in his exercises. So it allows me to adjust to him, but he also adjusts to what my need is for the day. So, but the weather is very much an impact on how my body's going to react. So I have to be very careful about summer times, especially. I was going to the gym at 3 p.m. through the winter, and we did have to make that adjustment and bump it up to morning hours just because I can't tolerate the heat. And sometimes that's even, going to the gym with you driving me so that I don't have to transfer and move back and forth into my wheelchair and into the driver's seat and stuff like that. That, like, after working out and then attempting to do that, oh God, it's a beating.
It's extra energy.
Yeah. So we try to retain as much in my energy pool as possible, instead of wasting it on transferring or things like that. But my body just responds differently on any given day. And so sometimes we might start with no weight, build all the way up to, I think I got to like 80 pounds.
80 pounds. This week. Yeah. That was actually rather impressive.
And so sometimes we're building up, like getting the nerve signal to respond. And then, like, once I start getting comfortable with that, and then it's actually like exercise at that point. And so we'll start adding weight on until I cap out at a particular weight and can't do much more or build on endurance or reps or anything. And then sometimes, like yesterday was an anomaly. We went to the gym, and that was at 11 in the morning.
Yeah. I
can't say I got the best night's sleep, but I got sleep. But I, right out the gate, was like 80 pounds and sitting up straight and like exercising like I'd was a professional. But that's not every day. That's actually very few and far between. So, but I do try to go to the gym at least 3 to 4 times a week. I feel a lot better. There is something with muscle memory. For whatever reason, when I'm exercising, I feel like I can function better. I have a better memory of how, not like memory, like brain memory, but like my brain remembers how to do the action better.
You remember what muscle to activate.
There we go. I'm like, I was struggling with picking the right word on that one, but and so I sleep better too. So like on the in-between days, like when I don't go to the gym, I try my hardest and make it a point to do things that require big motions, such as like playing ball with the dog or laundry, where I've got to make like big arm motions that just kind of, I don't know, just getting more movement in on my non-workout days seems to subtly help, and it could just all be in my head, but it's some of those things that I've found to supplement some comfort in my life. So I've created a habit with it. It seems to work. So I don't know, maybe somebody can give that a try. Let me know if that's truly the case. But on top of that, I also, I have a gentleman that comes and does assisted stretching with me once a week. He comes to our home, which is so much more convenient for me. Instead of having to drive somewhere and transfer on their table, I feel so much better with him coming to our home. But since I've been seeing him, I think I've been seeing this gentleman for about 5 years. So we again, this is another person I've got a really close relationship with, that he really understands my body and can laugh with us when weird things happen that I did not intend to do, like kicking him in the jaw and stuff like that. He really should wear like protective gear. So very similar to my relationship with my personal trainer. The gentleman that does my assisted stretching, Marcus, when he arrives, it is pretty much, hey, how are you doing? Catch up on our families, and then discussing how I feel, how I'm sleeping, always the weather with him.
Always.
He has a very strong belief that I can predict the weather. So, and I kind of can, especially rain. However, I'm like, so we always talk about the weather and how I'm feeling because of it. But additionally, food and hydration are always important to him too. And so, but with Marcus, what I respond and how I'm feeling really adjusts like what he's going to work on. It is always on the roster to work on my hips. My hips are always the most uncomfortable just because I sit all the time. The only break I get from that is when we're in bed. And so anyways, so we tend to focus very strongly on my hips. And additionally, when it's raining or the weather is being very challenging on me, which is almost always, he will focus a lot on my calves, and my hamstrings, really, because I just tend to get really tight or spasmy. I will call it spasmy. Anyways, he just tends to do a lot on those things. And some days, it's stretching along with some massage, just because I may be stressed out or tense about something. Even in the winter, we did a lot of work on my upper neck and my jaws, because the winter this past year was prompting some TMJ things. And so it just meant working on those things. But I laugh a lot with Marcus. We tend to cut up a lot, because when he will be working on particular muscles, other muscles will respond, meaning like a foot flies in the air, and we just have a very sarcastic relationship where, he was working on one side and the other side got jealous and decided to join the party. But I mean, seriously, like the guy has to duck and cover sometimes, like especially when I'm on my stomach. And like he's working on stretching like my hip or something, and a leg will just fly up in the air and he won't see it coming, or he will and has to duck. But luckily I'm able to laugh a lot with the folks that I work with and work with me. So but on top of that, I think not the last, we do a lot of things at home, but you know, the ladder of resources that we work with as a chiropractor, I do sit a lot. I do cross my legs a lot, and it's a bad habit, but a necessity in a way. Like my spasms get so bad and act up that it almost forces me to cross my legs just to keep things under control, especially in public. And when you think about spasms, like it's not a workout in any means. Like I'm not gaining muscle just because my leg is bouncing. It's actually more fatiguing than anything when I'm dealing with muscle spasms. And so I start depleting energy, and then I start kind of caving in again, where I start slouching really bad. And so the crossing my legs, I say, is a necessity because it keeps my legs from spasming, but it also is a form I've found just to kind of keep me sitting straight up. It's strange, but it's a mechanism that works. But because of that, though, it's created quite a bit of atrophy in my lower limbs that I don't know, I feel like guilty about. I don't know if guilty is the right word, but I feel like I caused it because of the things I had to do to stay comfortable. But I don't know, neither here or there, like we'll leave that behind. But anyways, but you know, the chiropractor, all the same things. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What's bothering you this week? But because I sit so much, my hips do tend to get out of line, and Marcus can tell those things too with like even just laying on the table. He'll tell me, yeah, your hips aren't looking right, like you've got one leg longer than the other. When's the last time you saw the chiropractor? So but we do a very strong attention at the chiropractor on aligning my hips, and that does keep me comfortable. I do get a little sore after the chiropractor, but it goes away in 1 to 2 days. Just like sore because of realignment. But I also I struggle with the trigger finger on my left hand, where my middle finger wants to get stuck, and it's connected to what that's connected to is like my forearm muscle. I can feel it in my muscle where it gets stuck, and so she does quite a bit of work on that to help that stay relaxed and release it. But otherwise, like I get kind of annoyed, like if I try to hold like a pin or even like utensils, like holding things become kind of hard because that muscle wants to get stuck. But anyways, the chiropractor seems to really help with that portion. So on top of those things, I mean, I'm going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I have assisted stretch once a week, and then I'm going to the chiropractor every 2 weeks. So all with my husband toting me around, throwing me on tables and flipping me and supporting me to stay comfortable. But additionally, like there are things that we do in between, because this sounds like a lot, but it's still sometimes not enough. Especially when the weather is bothering me. And when I talk about weather bothering me, it's cold. In the cold months, everything just hurts and it's terrible. But the rain seems to kick up my spasms, and the heat seems to kick up the like rock hard muscle where it doesn't want to release. And so we do have to supplement with things at home. And sometimes like that's extra stretching. Like I'll tell Brad, like, it's my lower back. Can you work on it? Can you help a girl out?
So I'll help you with extra stretching during the week. We'll lay in bed, or she'll lay in bed, and I'll kind of help stretch her hips and massage her legs and stuff like that. As well as we did make the decision to buy a lift chair, which has been really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, when we bought the lift chair, it was to give me independence. And then I was independent, like, because I think we got it like in November. So November in the state of Texas is not cold. That's the fall for us. If it's even like we're close to the fall. So it wasn't cold quite yet. I was comfortable transferring on my own then, and then it got cold and then I wasn't. And so
now I help get you out of the lift chair, which is nice. I mean, it's easier on me
helps you
to get you out of the lift chair because it kind of raises you up higher to almost, I don't know, a semi-standing sitting type position. I don't know. I don't know if you're familiar with the lift chair, but anyway, and then.
Well, hold on. That can be sometimes chaos too. Like.
It can be.
Because after in the evenings, we like to get me out of my chair. And so that could mean like I'm sitting like out of my wheelchair. That could mean I'm sitting in my recliner, my lift chair for 2 to 3 hours before we go to bed. And so then there's another level of, are they going to be stiff? Are they going to be jello? Like, how are they going to respond on my legs?
Right.
And so you kind of fight sometimes.
Get those guys under control before we try to get you out of that chair. So other things we do is scheduled rest. When we know she's going to be in her chair 12 hours, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., we will try to get her out of the wheelchair and into the lift chair, which is much more comfortable. It takes the weight off of her hips and allows her to distribute her weight a little bit better.
Well, and like yesterday, like we had an evening event, and by the time I got out of bed at 9 a.m. and by the time we knew we were going to get home, it was going to be after 9 p.m.
Right. That was a long day. It's a lot of hours in the chair.
And so we're like, okay, we knew where we were going. And so we, in the end, opted to, like, I would finish whatever activities I was doing throughout the day. Because I was on a roll yesterday. Like, we did gym, laundry. Like, I did quite a bit for having a gym day too, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But anyways, we were very careful. Like, I knew, like, okay, well, when we get to this event, like, I know that there will be cushy chairs. And so that was what we elected to do. Like, when we got there, you would transfer me out of my wheelchair into a comfortable chair, and
which that kind of rolls us into like the next one. I mean, like I help you limit your transfers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll help you from chair to lift chair to power chair. Even going to the restroom, I'll help you from wheelchair to toilet and back.
Gosh, this morning, like, I remember that's unfortunately why I woke you up this morning at 7:30, is because I knew I had to get dressed and ready. And so I'm like, I don't think I can get out of bed and still sustain the same energy to be able to get me ready for the day. So
I hopped out and got you out of bed, put you in your chair, which I don't know. I think that's, I don't know. I really wish we used the spoon theory, but that to me is saving spoons. Like each transfer is a spoon. I mean, you could use all your spoons in one day just from transferring, really.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you help me with the bathroom a lot too. Like I hate pants. I despise pants. But that's where a lot of my energy goes, is if I try to go to the restroom by myself, which I do. But we strive really hard for you to be able to help me, like, at least get my pants on and off if I am wearing pants, simply because it takes so much energy, especially just thinking about, like, standing, pull that up, don't fall. There's just so much going on when it comes to going to the restroom, putting on and off pants, and so I despise them. But but anyways, we just strive really hard to sustain what energy level I have at any given moment. And we've just gotten really good at paying attention to where I need the help and where I don't think I need the help. Like, you sometimes have to warn me, like,
Right.
don't forget you have that coming up. Like, let me help you. And you do
Right.
a good job of doing that as well.
Right. Anyway, I think that's kind of wraps it up. Between the gym, assisted stretching, the chiropractor, and then just the few things that we do around the house to help
Yeah, as needed.
save energy. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying the content we're creating, please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and find us wherever you can get your podcasts.